What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Gauntlet. I'm here live in Kansas City, here to cover the NFL draft. I got John Shear over here. Me and John have been doing a lot of different stuff, but it is still Friday night. It is still a night where we have to talk about everything that's been going on with this draft. We also have to cover the big news that happened this week. Lamar and the Ravens getting a deal finally done. And we're going to see what our man JJ has to say about that, because I have a feeling that he has a lot to say. And, of course, we have a whole bunch of other stuff to cover as well. So let's get the crew in the building without further ado. First up, we have Denzel. He says he's on Stroud tonight after CJ Stroud drafted by the Houston Texans last night. What's going on, bro?
Man, I can honestly say for the first time in what feels like a year and a half, I'm actually proud to wear this beanie instead of just having it on and doing these telecasts. Y'all will hear my commentary in a minute, man. But yeah, as the name suggests, on Stroud 9, he's coming to H-Town, dude. And more to come, So
now let's get Detroit Dom in the house. Draft's going to be in Detroit next year. So maybe we'll see Dom out there with us. What's up, Dom?
How we doing? I'm guessing
well,
all
man.
you guys feel a little bit better about your first round pick or picks than I do about mine. More on that later. But hey, we got 3 picks in the second round.
They dominated the first round.
Yeah, Georgia North, eh?
And now we got my brother JJ. As I said, I know he's got a lot to say about the Lamar situation. What's up, JJ?
Well, I'm good. I'm chilling. What's up with y'all?
Just doing
we
what
just
we
traded
do. We got a great show tonight, so let's get it started. And we got our man Kirk, as we call him here on the Gauntlet Prime Time. Kirk, what's up, Kirk?
Doing good. I got a dual monitor over here set up, watching all the games, not just the draft and the playoffs and Mariners game and stuff. So
It's about to be some fun. About to be some fun games.
Okay, guys. So you guys know how we start this show, man. Sports Morons of the week, and of course, a word from our guy Tyler.
Are you guys kidding me? Are you guys kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you. The Sports Morons of the week. Listen, man, I know that this segment's going to be crazy because there was so many crazy things that happened this week. So I'm just going to pass it to whoever would like to go and give a Sports Moron. Feel free to speak up because I know that I have several.
You want to just go clockwise? I can go first. Mine's obvious.
Go ahead.
Well, much as it pains me to say, my sports moron of the week or of the Friday of the first round, sadly, is my GM, one Mr. Brad Holmes. I'm not mad about the players that we picked. I am very upset at the places that we picked them. You don't take a running back in the first round, you don't take that running back in the first round because he would have been there. And then you don't take Jack Campbell in the first round because, again, he would have been there later. It's not, like I said, it's not the players that I'm upset about. It's the spots that they were picked. Brad Holmes came on like either in the middle of the round or after the round when they talked to him and tried to defend his pick and say that he had Jahmyr Gibbs higher on his big board than he did Bijan Robinson, which I guess is possible. You know, GMs evaluate players differently, and it could have been based more on skill set and need than fit, but inexplicable. And like I said before the show, I'm glad that I wasn't at home watching the draft from my TV because I probably would no longer have a functional TV. Because when I saw it, I just shouted. I was in the parking structure at the casino waiting on my buddy, and I just shouted at the top of I dropped my phone, and then I was like, Gibbs! So yeah, not a great start to my night. And then when they came back with, I really like Jack Campbell, but I'm like, oh man, it was like a hold my beer moment. Like, hey, you guys think I can screw this up worse? Watch me go. Do better tonight and tomorrow, Brad Holmes, please.
So there was a report that the Lions were actually going to take Gibbs at 6, and then
Really?
they realized that they could get some value and move back and get him at 12. But they actually wanted to take him at 6, and they were prepared to pull the trigger on that. And then
I heard that too.
And they got some.
So that
some
means they had.
ammunition out of it.
That means the Lions had Gibbs higher on their board than
They
Bijan
did.
Robinson.
They were going to take him at 6.
Yeah, they did.
All right, let's go to JJ next. JJ, you got sports moron of the week?
It's ironic that Dom hits on Brad Holmes because my dad is a huge Brad fan. Every pick, interesting that you have that dynamic. And he said that Brad stays on his board. My sports moron, everybody who thought the Baltimore Ravens was not going to sign Lamar Jackson. All y'all morons, okay?
Do it.
Way to hit that layup, JJ.
Yeah.
And I debated this for 2 years now. Many times. We're going to get into it all night. You morons.
Yes, Bacon Grizz.
Okay? You guys are the morons of the week. And it's even more moronic because whoever sat there and said that Baltimore was the only option, of course he had to sign, is just a weak cop-out excuse for you to sit here and say, I'm sorry, Joe. You were right. You know you better than me. I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm a moron. I'm ridiculous, and I don't know anything, and I your word for it from here on out. So y'all are the sports morons of the week.
Okay, very JJ-like for that sports moron of the week, but we'll definitely have to hear more what he says about the Lamar situation later in the show. Next, we're going to go to Kirk. Kirk, do you have a sports moron?
Yeah, so I'm going to go the basketball world. The Milwaukee Bucks having an absolute collapse in Game 5. Like, that was probably the biggest playoff collapse ever I've seen. Giannis was missing 3 throws. Late in the end, they had like a 16-point lead in the fourth quarter. They blew that, went to overtime, had a bunch of silly turnovers there. They allowed Jimmy Butler to tie the game with like 0.8 seconds left. They had a bunch of stupid fouls, especially the one on, I think it was Max Strus on that 3-point shot. And then at the end, very end, with Grayson Allen, who not even, first off, he didn't even call, Coach Bud did not even call timeout in both then overtime and regulation. And that last shot, the very last shot was Grayson Allen. Didn't even get a shot up. They were so disorganized, so dysfunctional. Like he could have just took a floater there. Maybe probably tied the game, but no. And shout out, Jimmy Butler just owns the Bucks. He is the
Jimmy was amazing.
John.
Got the Milwaukee Bucks. He's the owner of the Milwaukee Bucks. He 40 points, 45 points in both Game 4 and Game 5. Giannis, you choked. All day you choked. Coach Bud, you choked. It's just historic upset.
So we're going to have a conversation about free throws.
Butler's overrated as hell. Just ask anyone a week ago.
All right, next we're going to go to Jay.
Well, keeping it in the basketball world, and I'll keep it short. My sports moron of the week is Dylan Brooks of the Memphis Grizzlies. Now listen, here's the deal. You're poking the bear. I understand that to be the best, sometimes you got to go after the throne a little bit, but it's not even the fact that he was disrespectful about it. That's going to happen. It's about knowing who and where you are at the time you do this, because you're going at someone who a lot still consider is the best player on the planet, and you're maybe the 4th or 3rd at best player on your team. Then you say, in order for the man to get your respect, he got to drop 40. Well, he dropped 20 and 20 rebounds, plus he pretty much shut you out. Now, granted, y'all did win last game, but I don't know if that many people – I'm not sitting here saying the man isn't good, but Desmond Bane's way better, and then there's Ja Morant. So, sports moron, Dylan Brooks, do much better before you go and grabbing the microphone talking some trash to the king. Go ahead.
It was so –
Yeah, that was just very stupid by Brooks. And it was, as I said, it's been a very eventful week in terms of sports morons. I've just been blown away by all the stuff that I've seen. But the thing that takes the cake for me is another story that we heard about the now Arizona Cardinals head coach Jonathan Gannon, who, as we know, was the defensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles for the last 2 seasons, got hired for this job. So according to a lot of stuff that I've been told, Jonathan Gannon and the Cardinals were charged with tampering or whatever, which resulted in the 3rd-round pick swap. The Eagles getting the Cardinals 3rd-round pick and the Cardinals getting the Eagles 3rd-round pick, which is later on in the draft. But all that stuff aside, what I was told is the Cardinals pretty much offered him the coaching position after the NFC Championship game against the San Francisco 49ers. So, looking back at this past Super Bowl game, we all know that it was not a good performance by the Philadelphia Eagles defense, who performed very, very well throughout the regular season and were a top 10 defense overall. Yet, you go into that game and you get absolutely embarrassed, and you make no adjustments in that game. And it was clear that Jonathan Gannon was not in Arizona. His head was not in it to win a championship, to win a Super Bowl for the Eagles as their defensive coordinator. His mind was focused on something completely different, which is a conflict of interest. And it was very just unprofessional and disappointing for you to be a professional in this league. And your team is in the Super Bowl. It's very disrespectful to yourself, and it's also disrespectful to all the players and other coaches on the team that sacrifice so much for a chance to play for a world championship. So Jonathan Gannon, once again, you have to be my sports moron of this week. Awkward silence. I guess nobody has something to add to that.
Oh, yeah, I can add something. So James and I are in the press room last night.
I knew it was coming.
Yeah, we're in the press room last night. Anthony Richardson's taking questions, everybody's asking him questions, and somebody asks him how he feels about working with Frank Reich. He looks at him, and he goes, Frank Reich? And the guy's like, yeah, Frank Reich. And he's like,
he repeated it?
Frank Reich. And he just laughs.
Oh, boy.
Anthony Richardson laughs, and he's like, he just turns and laughs and starts taking a different question. And we all just dropped our heads like,
yeah, that was rough.
Did you really ask him about working with Frank Reich?
Didn't even fan check him or anything.
The Panthers.
Who literally just got fired by the Colts a few months ago. So
people busted out laughing.
That was definitely the highlight of the night. But overall, I was very disappointed in a lot of the questions that were asked.
I don't understand how you get into a space like this and then you make a mistake like that and you double down on the mistake when the player gives you a chance to fix it and you double down on it. Like, yeah, Frank Reich. Like,
there were a lot of
that guy's world.
That
guy's
was
world. Frank Reich is still the coach.
Make no mistake about it. There were a lot of bad questions that were asked.
That guy sneaked out of the city in the middle of the night like the Baltimore Colts did in 1984.
Well, the funniest thing is he stuck around for the rest of the night.
Yeah, I would have handed my badge in and slapped it on the desk and been like, I'm going home.
Can somebody explain to me? Because I don't really understand why it's so embarrassing. I'm kind of confused. Can somebody clarify for me? Like,
because Frank Reich is no longer a coach in Indianapolis. He's Carolina's coach.
This sport at this level, then you have to actually know things like that.
Oh, okay.
Pretty simple.
Okay.
That's just what it was. But anyway, guys, we're going to go to
our player. Illinois' other undersized defensive
back. We're going to go to our player of the week. It is running back Arian Foster, who, in my opinion, was one of the best undrafted free agents of all time. Had an outstanding career with the Houston Texans. So I'm just going to turn it over to Jay who is our representative for the Houston Texans, covers the Houston Texans for the Sideline Sports Network. So, Jay, anything that you want to say about your man, Arian Foster?
Oh man, that dude was amazing. Easily our best running back of all time. The guy had the size, he had the speed, he had the agility. It's crazy because he was the size of a power back, but he wasn't scared of contact, but he would more like juke you, you know what I mean? Just kind of slide in and out. Knew how to hit a hole. Undrafted out of Tennessee. He was a starter back at Tennessee, and then who really saw him coming when he got to the Texans? Two-time first-team All-Pro, a second-team All-Pro in 2011. He's a four-time Pro Bowler. He has 2 NFL rushing touchdowns crowns and 1 NFL rushing crown in 2010. He rushed for a total of 6,527 yards, 54 rushing touchdowns. I mean, he didn't play, terribly long. And then again, some would say he went like the average running back career because he played from 09 to 16. Although we kind of don't count 16, he was a Dolphin, but he was well past his prime, But yeah, I know John wasn't really checking for him then. But pretty much, yeah, 09 to 15. That's about average length of what you're going to get from a running back, especially nowadays in the league. You couldn't ask for anything more. I'm not saying the guy's Walter. I'm not saying the guy's Barry or anything like that, but he most definitely was one of the best for his era, in my opinion. I mean, you win a rushing crown in what was starting to become a passing league at the time period. That Texans offense at the time period, nobody ran. We were run heavy, kind of like right now, but no one ran a play action like we did. Everyone was checking for Arian to get the ball up the middle or around the side, and that set up the play action shot to Johnson. It worked like almost every time, right? He was a part of the Houston triple threat when we finally got good. After years of those 2 and 4 win seasons. Arian Foster was a part of the triple threat that made us that way. So hats off to Arian Foster. He likely he's going to the Texans Ring of Fame one day, and that's all I got to say.
Next, we're going to go to JJ.
Arian Foster came at a time when they just seen Steve Slayton go down for injury. And Steve Slayton was a productive running back for them as well. And I believe I've always loved Arian Foster, even though he was nagged by injuries. But I remember, there's 2 things I remember with Arian Foster the most. I remember his tribute to his culture when he used to always go like this every time he would score, every time he'd get a first down. I think he's mixed with some type of Mandarin culture with him as well. And I think I remember, I can't quote the words, but there was a soundbite of the trash talking that would happen in the game. I think he said to somebody, "I don't know you, son. I don't even know who you are," or something like that in the middle of a game. I do remember Arian Foster. He's a great running back. They needed that because again, as I said, referenced earlier, Steve Slayton being down. I'm happy for.
So we're going to go to Kirk next. Kirk, what's up? Talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think after around like 2012, 2013, he dealt with a lot of injuries. I would say he had, I think he had surgery on his Achilles tendon in 2016, which led him to leave the Texans to go to Miami. He also had I think him and Andre Johnson and then like Matt Shaw, like those days where the Texans were somewhat good. Like rookie JJ Watt, that was a really unique, fun offense to watch. It was really good looking, and he was I would say he's like more of like a combination of has the size of like a Derrick Henry, but a little bit smaller than that. Not like as big as Derrick Henry, but having the same size and having that strength. But he also has the quickness of Le'Veon Bell. He's one of the more patient running backs that that's been out there. So I would say him and Andre Johnson are probably the 2 greatest in the short career of the Houston Texans, 2 greatest offensive players as there. So
I just want to add.
Let's go to Dom to wrap this segment up.
I just had one more thing before my thing hit.
Go ahead, JJ.
Yeah, go ahead, JJ.
I will remember there was one, and I think Jay remembers too. the Ravens and the Texans had an overtime game that we were up big, and then Arian Foster and crew walked us down to overtime, but we won, thankfully, off of a pick six from Josh Wilson. Because I have felt if we didn't get that pick six, we was going to lose that game because they were just walking us down. We couldn't stop the run. We couldn't stop anything. And Josh Wilson gave it away. But that was Arian Foster that highlighted. You just couldn't count them out. And during that time with J.J. Watt, Arian Foster, I think our Super Bowl year, the Texans put a mean hurting on us in the regular season. Won 42-17. They put a mean hurting on us. And I just was remembering because J.J. went off. We couldn't stop Arian. It was just an amazing game, even though they whooped our tail. I mean, just destroyed us. And we were one of the top two teams in the AFC at that time.
Yeah.
All right, Dom, close us out for this segment, man.
Arian Foster, a great career, albeit shortened by injury and really just overuse. Like Jay said, came out of nowhere, went from the practice squad to the next year. He was literally at least for that 1 year, he was pretty much the best running back in the NFL, 1,600 yards rushing, another 600 receiving, but that was also on almost 400 touches. They ran that poor man into the ground like Earl Campbell, Jamal Anderson style. So it was sad to see him go so early, but I saw it coming. He was also the backbone of my back-to-back fantasy championships in my big money league all those years ago. So always been a huge Arian Foster fan for that reason. Took a big risk on him that year and took him high in the draft. I was like, I got a feeling about this kid, and he made me look smart. But yeah, one of the great ones, great combination of size and speed. He was like 6'1", 225, 230, which is like pretty much what you want. And he was the man until he just, he wasn't even old. He was just broken down. They just ran that poor man into the ground. But shout out to Arian Foster.
Don't forget, I'm not going to take away anything from Arian Foster, but Jay, you know this. A big part of that was that zone blocking scheme from Gary Kubiak.
Absolutely.
A huge part because it was perfect fit for Arian Foster.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't like Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry runs between the tackles. Arian Foster was a agile back that loved the zone blocking scheme. That's what Kyle Shanahan runs. He loves that type of.
Yeah, that's actually the ironic thing, John, is we actually carried the zone run scheme like into the Deshaun Watson era and then a couple years after that. But it's crazy how for some of those years we couldn't pass block, but we could run block like crazy, and that's how Arian and pretty much any other running back we had got their shine. So
that's exactly what Kyle Shanahan's dad used to do, Mike Shanahan, with all his run games.
Zone run, yep.
Yeah, so
I would say a better.
Back on those Broncos Shanahan teams when you could literally put any one of the six of us back there and we'd get 1,000 yards.
Clinton Portis with Washington.
Arian Foster, one of the great ones, and just a very impressive career with him being undrafted, guys. So let's get to the big news that took place this week. We do have the X Factor joining us in the chat here. And he says he wants to know how JJ is feeling about the Lamar Jackson getting paid that bag. So this week, Lamar and the Ravens finally agreeing to a 5-year extension. It is worth a total of $260 million, $185 million guaranteed. So Jalen Hurts had his extension a couple weeks ago. Now Lamar gets his extension. So JJ, talk to us.
Well, listen, I live. Wow, single shot hit.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Gotta do it right.
All right, so I'm gonna just let y'all know. Number one, I always knew. None of y'all did. All y'all said he wasn't going to get paid. A lot of people said that he wasn't going to be. Baltimore's looking for a quarterback. They're going to be in purgatory. And I remember so many times where I would sit there and say, I don't think I have any issue with these negotiations. Did I think he overstated his value? Yeah, I didn't think he was going to get fully guaranteed. But I knew that there was no beef between the sides. There was no issues between the teams. Like, they hated each other. And for 2 years, I heard so many people tell me how my team fumbled the bag, how my team looked idiotic because they didn't want to pay him, how my team is going to mess up what they're going to be doing for their future because they didn't give it to this guy. I'm very happy he got the bag. At the end of the day, he's resetting the market. And so because he's resetting the market, I don't have a problem with his bag because we reset the market with a quarterback before when Joe Flacco won the Super Bowl. He reset the market for his contract at the time. At the end of the day, I'm very happy for the man because I know he really did love the teammates that he has. He loves J.K. Dobbins, Mark Andrews, the whole team. When you have negotiations, and if you've been in a professional setting, you can understand how this happened and what has taken place in terms of putting the trade request in, things of that nature, all the back and forth. Because again, sometimes you get what you want, you got to threaten them to leave, even though you really want to stay. And that's exactly what happened here. So I'm line up to my Facebook, line up to my Instagram, line up to my Twitter, and you can say, I'm sorry, Joseph Jenkins, Raven aficionado. I was wrong. I didn't know what I was talking about. And I'm not going to use that lame excuse saying that this was the only option that Lamar had because of nobody trying to give 2 first shots or nobody trying to do this. Bump all that. I wasn't saying that before, so I'm not going to accept it now. He's on the team for the next 5 years with the Ravens accomplished everything they needed in the offseason. Locked up Roquan. There's our staple for the defense. Locked up Lamar. There's our staple for the offense. Signed Odell, draft Zay Flowers. They're bringing in talent. And if Odell, and I want to be very clear about this, Lamar and Odell, I don't need them to be 30 touchdowns or 1,500 yards. I need them to be what Joe Flacco and Anquan Bolden were. Make those tough catches. Make those catches that help us win games. Because if you do that, the rest will work itself out. And I will say this. In the next 5 years, we will win a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson.
All right. JJ dropping the mic on all the Lamar doubters and non-believers. Very interesting to see him finally get the deal done. Next, let's go to Kirk. Kirk, what was your thoughts on Lamar Jackson and the Ravens finally getting a contract extension done?
Yeah, I said it last week that,
oh, come on, Seattle.
Lamar Jackson contract situation was primarily because of his playoffs. The holdup was his agent versus his contract negotiation with having an agent and his playoff success in terms of getting healthy. So that's something the Ravens need to be held accountable for him to be available, especially down in the stretch, which he missed the past 7 games each of the past year, 2021 and 2022. But I think they really did. They got crucified. It's like, the Ravens are disrespecting Lamar. They don't treat him as like the franchise quarterback. Well, they signed Odell Beckham. They got Zay Flowers. They got a new offensive coordinator, and they have bringing back Rashad Bateman, who was coming off of injury last year. So for the people of the Ravens saying the Ravens are not helping Lamar, they are helping him now, and I think that's the reason why they were able to get a contract extension done, because they got actual receiving weapons for him. Plus, the sense of urgency when Jalen Hurts dropped his contract extension. We also talked about that last week. He was the highest paid player up until this point. Eric DeCosta met with Lamar over the weekend at the Ravens facility because for the draft, and he said, "Hey, you know what? We need it. There's no trade partner gonna come for you. Let's work something out and then get this over with." You can say that Jalen Hurts was also the deciding factor of this contract negotiation, because
I agree.
It was the highest paid contract, and Lamar was like, you know what, I'm gonna get that contract and more. So a lot of the things happened in the past week is we got to this point. So.
All right, we're going to go to Dom next because we know he's going to have some interesting take about this.
Oh, I'll keep it brief. It's too much, and this is nothing against Lamar Jackson. Quarterback. I thought you were smarter than that. Apparently, I was wrong. I think it was kind of a knee-jerk panic mode reaction, a $260 million knee-jerk panic reaction because, I guess the deal had to get done at some point. To my knowledge, shout out to Lamar Jackson for getting that bag without an agent. And as far as Jay saying they're going to win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years, A, I doubt it, and B, I don't know that Lamar Jackson is still in the league in 5 years. He's a couple more injuries away from being done. JJ certainly left because he didn't want to hear my smack talk, so that's fine. But I don't know.
Well, I promise you, he's going to have something to say when he gets back.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll go to Jay real quick.
I can't put Lamar Jackson in that. I can't put him in that echelon quarterbacks that are getting that kind of money. I mean, Kyler Murray didn't really deserve that money either.
We have an official timeout on the field. JJ, do you have something to respond to what Dom just said?
I'm mad at my connection from kind of being like.
So Dom pretty much just said that, the Ravens had a panic reaction to Lamar being paid. Your thoughts on any of that?
Uh-oh.
I paid Dom no attention. Move on.
Me and JJ have gone down. Me and JJ agree to disagree. I'm never going to see it his way. He's never going to see it my way, and we put it to bed. He knows how I feel.
We've debated this like 2 hours after like that show like 2 weeks ago. I think 2 hours for like that. We debated that.
I'm pretty sure if we actually
And that
went
wasn't
all
the
out
first
with
time.
the debates, the show would go on for like 3 hours. Not even kidding.
Yeah.
Maybe longer. But anyway, let's go to Jay real quick.
Man, I didn't think I'd see the day that something would come as close to the immediate attention Aaron Rodgers usually draws until the Lamar Jackson contract debacle came about. It seemed like it was all you were hearing. And I'd say half the people, maybe most, got the ending that they wanted, and that was Lamar Jackson. Let me tell you something. I'm never going to be mad at a man, regardless of him. Oh, well, he hasn't won a Super Bowl. He hadn't been there. He's only got one playoff win or whatever. I'm not mad at anyone getting their bag, and I'll tell you why. It's because there's no secret that outside of UFC, boxing, pretty much any combat sport, football's the deadliest sport. And people generally don't play that long, And somewhere along time, contracts have gone from I'm trying to make sure I'm set for life to I want to make sure my generations are set for life. Back 30, 35 years ago, a $5 million contract was like the highest in the league. Now it's a rookie deal, And see, it's just been like that. It's going up and up and up and up. Lamar Jackson knew his worth. Lamar Jackson knew he was the Ravens. Lamar Jackson knew that eventually he could lead this team to the promised land. And it's been said that they don't pay you based off what you've done. They pay you based off of what they think you're going to do. The Ravens front office still have full-fledged faith that Lamar Jackson will lead them to a Super Bowl and a Super Bowl victory. He got his money. I'm happy for him. I know JJ's he's going to have them lined up outside the front door with a Hallmark apology cards. But here's to Lamar. He finally got his bag. But now I will say this much, is that now it's time to step in. This is not the time that you get your money and then you relax, okay? Now it's time to go get that second playoff win. Now it's time to get them to the AFC Championship game. Now it's time to get them to the Super Bowl, So the spotlight's really on you, because it's one thing to have a little bit of pressure when you're on your rookie deal, when you're just starting off. It's another thing after you get the bag. That's when folks are really going to judge you.
So there was a report. There was a report basically yesterday that came out that said once Jalen Hurts got his money, that's what made this deal happen. Lamar, all he wanted was more money than he wanted, even if it was $1. He wanted more money than Jalen Hurts so he could be the highest paid player in the NFL. That's what he wanted. And so once Jalen Hurts got his deal done, all it took was I want more money than Jalen Hurts, and that's what they gave him. They made him the highest paid player. That's all he wanted, was to be taken care of in that regard.
Dude, you know what? I think Lamar Jackson and the Ravens.
Jalen Hurts has more playoff wins in one season than Lamar has.
I think it's a good. I think it's a good
We have Darce JJ over here.
Just because I think this whole situation has kind of been a mess during this whole offseason. We've been covering the Lamar situation on so many episodes of our show, and it's just gotten to the point where I do feel like it's become somewhat of a distraction to people in the Ravens organization, the coaches, and his teammates as well. So I feel like everyone over there is relieved that this deal is done. And the things that Lamar has done since he's been in the league, winning the league MVP, and just being that face of the franchise, he's done some really good things, and I think that they just need to keep going in this direction that they're trying to go into. You bring in some more weapons this offseason. You bring in Odell. I'm very excited to be there. Zay Flowers, we got a chance to talk to him. John got a chance to interview him. He asked him about
Jimmy's
seafood in Maryland.
Jimmy's famous seafood.
Yeah.
He seems like a good kid as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see what this Ravens team is going to do. The AFC North is going to be interesting and very, very competitive division. But if I had to say, I really think that the Ravens are relieved that they can move forward from this saga.
I will say this, two things. Number one, the whole Odell situation, Lamar Jackson's situation shows how people in the world are. You can't tell them that Odell is a good weapon when you need to sign him for every other team, but the minute he signs with the Raven, oh my God, it's a bad weapon. No, you just don't like Lamar. You think with your emotions. And number two, we're not stressed, but Los Angeles and Cincinnati are about to be stressed coming up.
Yep.
And Jacksonville too. So we will see
Very good point.
what happens with them throughout another saga, or if Burrow's going to sign, or Herbert's going to sign, or Lawrence is going to sign. And ironically, Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson have more playoff wins than Detroit quarterbacks in the last 20 years. Amazing. So we'll see how far they can go with that, but I take that chance over purgatory.
30, actually.
All right, guys.
32,
So that's
actually.
it for this segment. Let's go to the NFL draft. The first round was very interesting and eventful. There was a lot of moves. There was a lot of trades going on. And we got to talk about this, man. Like, who are the biggest winners and losers? Give me one winner and one loser. We're going to start with Jay on this one. Jay, who's your biggest winner and loser of the 2023 NFL draft?
Oh, man. Biggest loser? Sorry, Dom. I don't agree with picking a running back at that time period. Now when you sign David Montgomery, and they're talking about moving Swift right now, like they could have just kept him too. Don't get me wrong, dude's a stud coming out of Alabama. I just felt like they could have addressed something else. But I'm not going to beat you up too bad. I mean, it wasn't like terrible, but I thought it was a bit of a reach. The biggest winner, I'm going to pull my own leg here and say general manager Nick Caserio. He completely and utterly shocked the NFL world. He kept the whole sports world in mystery. The talks were coming out. Texans are looking at trading their 2 pick. Texans are looking at trading their 12 pick, and I called it. I called it days ago. I said, if the Texans move the 12 pick, they're going to move up, and that's exactly what they did. They got their quarterback in the future, and the very next pick, they got arguably the best defender in the draft. So here's to Nick Caserio, in my opinion, so far, the biggest winner in the draft. In my opinion, the biggest winner of the first round.
Definitely some good choices there. Kirk, we're going to go to you next. Give me your biggest winner and loser of the 2023 NFL draft so far.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks, taking all the Broncos picks away. I love that trade. It's a great trade. It's an awesome trade. They drafted Devin Witherspoon, which is pairing up with him and Tariq Woolen, who have creating the Legion of Boom 2.0. I think when they're healthy, they have the potential to be one of the best, if not the best, secondaries in the league. With pairing them up with Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams over there. Not to mention guys like Julian Love and Kobe Bryant. And then you also got Jackson Smith and Jigba, which is you pair him with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. That could be the best wide receiver trio in the league. So you're pretty much set there with the DBs in the secondary. I know that. I'm pretty sure the practices between those guys are going to be really intense.
Lots of scrap. I can only imagine him and Weatherspoon and Metcalf going at it in the practice. There's definitely going to be a couple of scuffles over there.
I think it's a really interesting dynamic with Tariq Woolen, who had an outstanding year last year.
DK Metcalf,
Bringing Weatherspoon, like the Seahawks seem to be trying to bring back that Legion of Boom.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that's what they're trying to go for, like the long, lengthy zone coverage press type of corners is what they're trying to look for. For the loser side, this is going to be a really hot take. I would say the Eagles drafting 2 defensive line players in the first round. And I'm not trashing on the players themselves. Like those are like 2 top 10 caliber picks in the draft. Like top end defensive players. But they already have. I think their D line is probably they're already set at D line. They have Brandon Graham. They have Fletcher Cox. They have Jordan Davis. They have Josh Sweat and
Hassan Reddick, right?
Hassan Reddick. You need to turn off your camera for a sec so your head can explode. It's okay.
So it's like you add those guys, who's it? Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith, which is great down the line in the future, especially when Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, they're getting up in age, but they still have a lot of holes on the defensive side of the ball. They don't have any linebackers and don't have any safeties. So that could still be fixed in the second and third round. I don't know. They don't have a lot of picks outside the first round. So it doesn't really change the grand scheme of things in terms of the short term for the Eagles, but long term, I think they did a pretty good job. So
I want y'all to run this tape back after we get done shooting, because I saw easily 4 or 5 faces of JT that you can meme. Easily 4 or 5.
Initial timeout on the floor. We're going to go to Detroit Dom next. Dom, winner and loser of the NFL draft so far.
It's Lions. We've already been over this, and it's funny. I'm glad that Kirk went right before me and tried to call the Eagles losers, because I would say they're the biggest winners. Adding 2 more players to Georgia North defense. For Jalen Carter to slip all the way to 9, fall right in their laps, defensive player in the draft, and then for Nolan Smith to fall all the way to 30, and they get him. I mean, big upgrades, and they lost a couple guys in free agency, so it made perfect sense. Good fits. I already have them as early favorites to repeat as NFC champs.
Can he go out and come back in and change his name to Primetime Kirk?
That's already what his name was before.
Yeah, but this is like 4 o'clock, 8:30 Kirk, right? It's like Kirk Cousins at 4 o'clock.
I'm throwing more bombs in the playoffs right now than Kirk Cousins.
John's like, wait a second. Only I can deliver the hot takes. What's this guy doing?
I will make my response after JJ gives his biggest winner and loser. JJ, talk to me.
So ironically, I will say I think the biggest losers are the Falcons, because I didn't think they needed Bijan Robinson, specifically with Tyson out here. That team has everything, but I don't think the Lions necessarily are a bad pick for Jahmyr Gibbs, because DeAndre Swift is possibly hurt all the time, and no Jamal Williams. David Montgomery is not a every down back, nor has he been showing to be a productive back, because he wasn't that productive with the Chicago Bears last year, as he almost got replaced. And so I don't credit that, but I think the Falcons had other needs.
Bears had different styles on the O-line.
As far as the winners, I'll have to disagree with Kirk, and I'll have to echo the same thing today, because I think the Eagles lost their, possibly, in my opinion, their most disruptive pass rusher in Javon Hargrave when he went to San Francisco. And I knew that's why they went after Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith, because at the end of the day, the team that's produced, the college team that's producing the most NFL-ready players is Georgia, specifically on that defense. And so I think they needed that. They seen what happened against Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. They couldn't get to him and save their life. And so I feel like they needed to reboot, get guys that can come in, and also have to remember when you have guys that are coming in that are already familiar with two guys on the same line with them they played with and won a title with, it should mesh very well for them to translate over. And I think they're trying to say, you know what? The key to winning is having a pass rush. And I will echo Jay in terms of Houston is 1A, 1B, because I said in a post that they got their potential foundation in C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson. In my opinion, I think Will Anderson is the best player in this draft. Like, in my opinion, I thought that it could have been one of those situations where the Panthers don't take quarterback and surprise everybody and get like Myles Garrett type play and Will Anderson, which he has that capability. So in the AFC, when you got Herbert, Mahomes, Lamar, Tua, all of these different quarterbacks, Rodgers now, I think you need that guy that can get to the quarterback, and you need that guy to replace what you all had with J.J. Watt for so many years. So I think 1A, 1B winners is Eagles and Texans, and the losers, in my opinion, is the Falcons.
Okay, so my biggest loser is the Washington Commanders, going with Forbes with that 16th overall pick. I just really didn't understand that pick at all. I think that there's a lot better value you could get there at 16. A guy like Nolan Smith who fell to the Eagles at 30. I think that would have been a really good pick for Washington there, especially with Chase Young's situation up in the air, Washington declining his option. He has been very injury prone. He has not played a full season. He's been drafted by Washington after being the second overall pick of the draft with a lot of high expectations there. So I think that would have been a better pick there. The guy lacks size. I mean, he's 166 pounds. You know, you're playing in a division against A.J. Brown, who's a big, strong, physical receiver. I mean, this guy's just going to get thrown around. I just don't think it was a great pick by Washington, and I don't think that they got the best value there. I think that they most likely could have gotten this guy potentially in the second round as well. And if you are going to go corner, a guy like Joey Porter, I was very surprised that he did not go in the first round. The Steelers picking him up with the first pick in the second round. Great job by them, but Washington, you got to be my losers. And now, Kirk, I just got to address you real quick, buddy. I cannot believe that you said that the Eagles are
did it now.
The losers of this draft. When Jalen Carter falls to them with the 9th pick, they make a swap with the Chicago Bears, moving up from 10 to 9, giving them the 4th rounder for next year. The Eagles are losing
for that, by the way.
TJ Edwards, you lose him in free agency. You lose Javon Hargrave in free agency, who had an outstanding year last year. He goes to San Francisco. And the sky is falling. Everyone's saying the sky is falling. The Eagles are losing all these free agents. They're going to take a huge step back. They're not going to be ready. They're not going to be great. And they go out and get Jalen Carter, who before all this stuff was going on with the ongoing investigation and all the stuff with the speeding tickets and the reckless driving and all the other stuff, people had him mocked, even at number 1. And he just comes into a great situation in Philadelphia where you have Jordan Davis there already, who they drafted last year. You have Nakobe Dean. These guys are rejoining with each other. These guys, as JJ said, they won a championship together, so that chemistry is already going to be there. It's not like we have to figure out, can these guys really play together? They can. And then you have a room of veteran players that can help him stay on the right path. You have Hassan Reddick that's been in this league for a while. You have Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox, who are 2 of the longest tenured Eagles, along with Jason Kelsey. So they can really provide a lot of guidance to this young man and get him on the right path. And then a guy like Nolan Smith, this guy's athletic ability is so amazing. He was an outstanding piece for Georgia the last couple of years, with them winning 2 championships there. And you know what? People had him mocked to the Eagles at 10. The fact that they got him at 30, that's just ridiculous to me. You cannot let this guy slip this far down the board. it's pretty much stealing at this point when you allow
Somebody's
this
gotta call the
allow
cops.
this guy to fall to the 30th pick. And the Eagles, their strong suit is always building great line play on the O-line and the D-line. They're always known to drop those positions very, very high. So having the most sacks in the league last year, actually not only the most sacks last year, but ever in a single season. Reloading at those positions, the Eagles are looking prime to make another run at next year. So I think you've got to give the Eagles a lot of credit for what they did in this draft. So Eagles moving on up, I think they are very much a winner of this NFL draft.
And as you and I were saying yesterday and today, there are teams in this draft that made luxury picks. I call them luxury picks. The Falcons made a luxury pick. You're a bad team. The Lions made a luxury pick. They're a bad team. Like these teams, Washington, like these teams making luxury picks to where they're like, man, I really want this guy, but he's not the best guy. The Eagles just went to the Super Bowl and they have the 10th pick in the draft. They can afford to roll the dice on the 9th pick. They traded up. They can afford to roll the dice on whoever they want. They just went to the Super Bowl. They have a top 10 pick and they have the 30th pick in the draft. They can afford to make a luxury pick. Teams like the Falcons can't take Bijan Robinson. That's an absolutely stupid pick because your team sucks and you have a lot of holes. You're running back.
To me, it sounds like a big vote of no confidence.
You don't need a running back.
I don't really think it was a luxury pick for the Eagles taking Carter there. I think it very much was a position need.
I do understand Kirk's point in the sense of losing the safeties now because you do have to have that covered in the backfield, the back end. I do understand that, but I think they're trying to realize that we're not going to worry back there because you're not going to be able to throw the ball. But I do get where he's saying because C.J. Gardner-Johnson was an effective player for your team throughout the season.
Here's the thing, because I think, like you said, they have a good
of when you're the defending NFC champ. If you're drafting in the top 10, it's luxury.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a luxury. It's the best player available. So they got Jalen Carter, they got Nolan Smith, which is both at that where they were picked were absolute steals, and they did a good job of setting the foundation for that future in terms of building that defensive line and pass rush down the line. What I'm trying to say is they have they don't have enough picks outside of the first round to make up for all the other needs they have, because they, like I said, they lost TJ Edwards, one of the better run stopping linebackers. They lost CJ Gardner-Johnson, which is one of the best box safety tackle safeties, and they didn't draft there's too many holes there in order to overcome going to be ultimately becoming contending this year as a Super Bowl winner. So
who
they
would
haven't
you have taken with that 9th pick
this year.
Who would you have taken if you were the Eagles?
Well, when they get to the Super Bowl, you know who they won't be playing from the AFC? The Broncos, because you're finishing in last. Again.
I'm just kidding.
No, I'm serious. I'm curious. Before we close this segment out, Kirk.
I wouldn't call them losers. I'm just saying they're not like the winners that they are as they're praised to be. So
I'd fire Howie Roseman right now.
Okay. Anyway, we're going off the rails here, guys. This was definitely a fun conversation.
Yeah.
Let's go take it outside the sports world now. This is going to be very interesting, and you guys don't have to get too personal if you don't want to. I'm definitely not. But for non-sports topic, we've all been to this point at some point of our lives where we're just broke. We're scraping change together just to get through the week. I'm going to just share a story. I had a stretch where I didn't have money in my account because I had to make a choice. I had to make a business decision. I didn't have a car at the time. I was taking the trains to go to work, so I needed $5 a day for the train, and I had to pretty much do that. And other things, other needs like getting a haircut. I had to wait until I got my next check for that. I had to wait to go grocery shopping. I had 3 different stretches where I was living off of a certain type of sandwich for a week. I had one time that I was living off of grilled cheese. One time I was living off of PB&J, and I had another time that I was it was like ham and cheese or something, or like turkey. So 3 different times, bro, and that's all I ate for the whole week. So I was down bad, and it was a time in my life that I really had to learn how to be a lot smarter with my money, so these type of situations never happen in the future.
I would have to say my freshman year of college, back in 2017. I was getting a stipend from the government for my GI Bill, but it covered the bills, but it only left me with like $35-$40. So I had to, well, outside of what was in my cabinet already, for a good number of months, my diet consisted of Tall Boy Keystone Light and Little Caesars Pizza, and every now and again I'd have scrambled eggs with breakfast sausage, and that was it. I wasn't taking any road trips. I wasn't shopping. I wasn't doing any of that stuff. I couldn't get the new Madden game or anything, so I just pretty much watched everybody else's play, But it was worth it because I got my degree, and now I'm with Sideline Sports. So yeah, definitely I knew I was broke then.
All right, Kirk, what's up? You got any stories?
Yeah, I remember. I was at the gas station, and all I had was like $5 of cash because I couldn't use my card. Because it was locked. It was locked. It was really got hacked by took some of my money. Like some hacker took some of the money on my card, so it was locked, so I couldn't use it. All I had was $5 of cash, so I was there, in the gas station trying to buy like a pack of soda. It was like a 10-pack soda. It was like Mountain Dew, and it was like $7, and all I had was $5. So I was sitting there in the counter. I didn't know it was $5 because they said I didn't know about anything about taxes when I was 16 years old. I got my first license, so I went to the counter. I was like, okay, it's $5. Here's $5. Like, it's 7-11, including tax. Like, do you have that money? It's like, I don't. So I'm just sitting there like, you can't buy this soda. But fortunately, this kind man behind me gave me $2 to pay off the rest of the Mountain Dew. Thank God for him, because I look like an idiot over there trying to I didn't know it was $7 in tax. All I had is $5. So yeah, that was like the one time I was like, damn, I had no money. So
okay, cool. So Dom, you got any stories?
Yeah, mine is so eerily similar to Jay that when he said what he said, the hairs on my arms stood up. I wish I had my hoodie sleeves pulled up because you'd have saw them stand up on my arms. When I moved back from Florida, it was like the week of Christmas, and the whole time I lived in Florida, my driver's license was in a tussle, which I did not have one. I had like over $1,000 like in my bank account when I was home, and I'm like, oh, I'll be good. And then I'm like, man, I got to take care of all these tickets and get Mel's back. So I paid off all the tickets with all the late fees and the license, reinstatement fee. That was like $800 and some. But then, just because they were like, hey, they were like, well, you paid everything, but we're basically going to punish you because you just skirt traffic tickets for like a year and a half. We're going to suspend your license for a month. In January, I have no car, no job because I can't walk. There's nowhere hiring around like January, and it was the same. Walking my happy ass up to the liquor store with coin change, tall cans of Camo Silver Ice, and then walking right next door and grabbing a hot and ready. So I literally the exact same thing that Jay said, except Camo Ice Silver instead of Keystone. But they were the same 99 cents.
Yeah.
That's a
Word of a
crazy
lie.
story, bro. $800.
Yeah.
Those tickets. Okay, JJ.
That was a lot of
Take us
tickets
home, brother.
and a reinstatement fee.
So I've had financial difficulties for quite some time in my life and everything. Things are getting a little bit better in my life. Everything I'm not like, but I will say, for about 2.5 weeks, I was walking to work and from work, so about 2.5 miles every single day. And I remember, this is thankfully I was working out of time. So, but I used to remember it was always a difficult challenge because I was wearing a suit, and I was wearing a suit in the dead of summer, having to walk 2.5 miles to and 2.5 miles back. And I remember, thankfully, I've been blessed to have people who've been able to be there for me because I'm a big believer in paying it forward. And there's a lot of people that I definitely love paying it forward to because you guys have helped me throughout the years that I've had when it came to those type of situations. There was another situation in Arizona I'll never forget, and I won't say his name because we went through the trenches. We had the only thing in the house that we had was running water. We had electricity that was on from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. because it's called an Arizona Power Card. And remember, my friend, he used to go to the mall, steal clothes, and then we would take it to the clothing place to exchange for money so we could get some food to eat that night. And
Oh, wow.
thankfully, I had a friend at work who told me, she's like, why don't you just apply for emergency food stamps? So that was the first time I got on food stamps. I went that day, but it was like, it was crazy. Like, I was just sitting there thinking, like, I keep thinking about this because when I really do make it big, it's almost like I'm going to be serenading everyone that has helped me throughout the years, because without those people and through my own learning how to do my own money management and being better, I don't know if I would have been here through those situations like that. Because, and the crazy thing is, I have never been somebody that said I will, compromise my respect and my morality for money, but I came very close to it. And thankfully, we didn't have to do that, but I am no stranger to financial difficulties.
Wow, those are some crazy stories, guys. But that wraps us up for another episode of the Gauntlet. Does anybody have anything else to add before we shut it off?
Actually, no, and I got
The Eagles will not win the Super Bowl.
3%, and for some reason, I don't get good connection when I'm downstairs charging it.
I feel you.
Sounds like the confidence of a betting man.
I know, right?
I'll bet.
Hey,
I'm
I'm about to check. I'm gonna check it later, but I'm doing all right. But I'll talk y'all later. It's 2%.
Jacksonville just refused drafting any defensive players, apparently.
All right, guys. So for all of us here with Sideline Sports, it's been an amazing time here in Kansas City covering the NFL draft for Sideline Sports. John and we've done some exceptional work in our time here. So just looking forward to whatever comes next for the Gauntlet and whatever comes next for everyone on our team here with the Sideline Sports Network. Be sure to follow us on all the social medias, yada, yada, yada. And, of course, we will see you guys on the next episode of The Gauntlet. See you guys next